Hello, in this OpenGL video, we're going to show you how to set up OpenGL, modern OpenGL that is, with GLFW for the render window and GLEW, which is OpenGL extension wrangler, so we can use newer features. First of all, what you want to do is make sure you have a Mac, because this video is for a Mac. If you want to know how to do it on Windows, don't worry, we've got a separate video covering that, so feel free to check that out. Once you got those prerequisites out of the way, one other prerequisite I want to mention is make sure you're comfortable with C++ programming and programming in general, because OpenGL does have a steep learning curve. That's just one thing I want to recommend, because I know I've seen a lot of people try to tackle OpenGL because they wanted to create like a 3D game, for example, but they barely know C++. So definitely recommend that you have a good understanding of C++. So once we got that out of the way, first of all, you want to download something called Homebrew. It's this fantastic package installer for Mac. So if you just Google Homebrew, go to brew.sh, and to install it, if you just copy this, that's all you gotta do, copy that, go to terminal, paste that in, click enter. For me, it's already installed, so it's not going to install, but for you, if you haven't got it installed, fantastic, you can just install it. Once you've installed that, using Homebrew, what we're going to do is install GLFW on our system and GLEW. Let's install GLFW first. To do that, you type in brew space install space GLFW. You can click enter now, but I wouldn't recommend it. Put the number 3, because if you put GLFW, installs an older version, which we don't want. So put GLFW 3, click enter. It's saying warning, I've already got installed because I've already done it, but for you it will install it, that's fine. If he asks for any you like your password, that's fine, put that in as well. Now we're going to do brew install GLEW. Don't need to put any version for this, just click enter. I'm getting an error because it's installed. It doesn't matter because whether it's a warning or error, either way I've already installed GLEW and GLFW. That's it to install it onto your system. One thing to note is because we're installing it on the system itself and not in our, let's say, our project, whenever you move your project to a different Mac, you will have to make sure you just install this. As you can see, it's not very hard. One little command from the Homebrew website, 2 commands on here for GLFW and GLEW. Very simple stuff. We can close this down now, and I'll close my browser down. Next step is to open up Xcode and click on create a new Xcode project. Go to OSX application, go to command line tool, click next. I'm just going to name it GLFW OpenGL, and I'm going to make sure you have the language set to C++. These 2 properties, you can set them to whatever you want. Click next. I'm going to save mine on the desktop, and now we have just a plain C++ project. We're going to actually be getting rid of this code and add in the bare minimum GLFW and GLEW code to get a render window sorted and get the version in and all that other good stuff sorted. But before we do that, we need to do a few things in our project. First of all, click on your project here, go to build settings, in the search box type in search, go to search paths and go to header search paths. I'm going to click plus, type in /usr/local/include. This is just going to allow us to hash include GLEW and GLFW in our main.cpp file. Now go to build phases, link binary with libraries, click the plus button. You want to type in OpenGL, and this is already built into Mac, so OpenGL.framework, click add. Click plus again. You want to press Command Shift G. Click add over, because we need to add GLEW and GLFW. Now click Command Shift G. You'll open up this go to folder. You want to type in /usr/local. Click on seller. Go to GLEW. Go to the version. Go to lib. And you want to select the .dylib without this little arrow. The arrow is just a shortcut, an alias, so you want this one right here. You don't want the MX version, you just want the regular .dy non-alias lib. and I click open. As you can see, this added it to our project. Click plus again, click add other, click Command Shift G, and for this do the same, /USR/local. Now go to seller, go to GLFW, the version that you want, lib, select the non-alias.dy lib, click open, and now our project is set up to use GLEW and GLFW and OpenGL. So if we go to our main.cpp, let's get rid of all of this code. First of all, we're going to do hash include IOStream. I'm not too sure if you can actually see this. You know what I'm going to do is just zoom in here slightly, so it's just a little easier to see. So we're going to do hash include IOStream. We're just going to include the IOStream because we're going to output some messages if we have some errors with our application. And now we're going to set up GLEW, or include it, I should say, and do hash define GL_EW_static. We're going to do hash include less than GL /. So if I click Control space, it hasn't picked it up, but I assure you, if I type in GLEW.h, that will compile. Now we're going to do GLFW, and for that we're just going to do hash include GLFW GLFW3.h less than, and now what we're going to do is const GL int, and I'm going to set a width. I'm going to put this as 800, so this is going to be the width of our window. I'm going to put a height value, assign this the value of 600, so I can easily just manipulate it in one place without having to change it several times. For this, we just want to put this as uppercase. Now we're going to do int main. You can have some argument values and argument count in there if you want to, but that's not necessary. First of all, we're going to initialize GLFW. So we're going to do GLFW init. We're going to do GLFW window hint. So this is just going to be setting some properties for our render window. We're going to put GLFW underscore context underscore version underscore major comma 3. I'm just going to copy and paste this, put 3 again, and change major to minor. So this is saying, can we try and set our OpenGL window to 3.3? As long as the graphics card and the system supports it, which I know my system does. Next, we're just going to copy and paste it again, and we're going to get rid of this. We're going to put GLFW underscore OpenGL underscore profile comma, which we already had. I'm going to put GLFW underscore OpenGL underscore. We're going to have the core profile here so we can use that, all that good stuff. We're going to put GLFW window hint again, and we're going to put GLFW underscore open GL underscore forward underscore compat comma GL underscore true. So this line is required for Mac, because without this line, what will happen is, well, it won't work. Simply put, you need this line for Mac. On Windows, you don't, but just leave it anyway. If you're doing cross-platform development, there's no problem or any conflicts with Mac and Windows if you have this line, which is fantastic. We're going to put GLFW window hint again. For this, we're going to put GLFW underscore resizable GL underscore false. So we're just preventing our window from being resized. You may not want that sort of restriction. That is totally up to you. If you don't, just get rid of it. Now we're going to create our GLFW window, I'm just going to call it window equals to GLFW create window, and for this it requires a few parameters. First is the width, next is the height, which we created up here, next is the name of the window, and this is just what will appear at the top in the bar. For this I am just going to put learn OpenGL, comma, for the next two values just put null pointer. We're not going to be dealing with them in this tutorial. And now what we're going to be doing is doing int screen width, screen height, comma, semicolon, sorry. I'm going to put GLFW get frame buffer, lowercase b, sorry, buffer size, and for this we need to supply the window, we need to supply a reference to the screen width and the screen height. What we're doing here, these two lines are basically required for Mac, because if we try and use these values for when we actually create our OpenGL viewport, the problem is on Mac devices that have a Retina display, because it's 4 times the resolution, it messes up. The positioning is basically, it essentially just stays in a quarter of the actual window. So what you want to do is actually get the actual screen, not screen size, it should be screen size. What you want to do is get the actual window size that is relevant to your particular Mac. If you have this on Windows, don't worry, it'll just return the same sort of value as 800 by 600. What I would actually recommend as an extra task, console out the screen width and the screen height and see what values you get. If you have access to Retina and non-Retina devices, that'll be fantastic, because you can see the difference between them. But like I said, these two lines won't conflict with anything to do with Windows, but they're just to help any sort of Retina displays, and I think they'll probably help with high density Windows screens as well. So this is just a great way of just making sure we got the best compatibility that we can have. Next, we're going to put if null pointer equals window. So we're just going to see, is the window successfully created? If not, we're going to do std cout failed to create GLFW window. I'm going to do std end line semicolon. We're going to put GLFW terminate, just do a bit of cleaning, and then finally do return -1. See, daisy on, I need to, let me just zoom out. What I'm gonna do is just put loads of empty white space here, so when I do zoom in I can scroll, because otherwise you can't see anything, which is very bad. So now that we've checked, has the GLFW window been created successfully? If it has, it'll go past this if statement. And now what we're going to do is do GLFW make context current. So we're just going to set it to our window for the context window. Now we're just going to put GLEW experimental equals GL underscore true. We need to put GLEW experimental. Actually, I shouldn't say GLEW, because it's GLU as well, which is something different. So I should just say GLEW. GLEW experimental to true to be able to use newer OpenGL features. The word experimental I don't think is the best word for them to have here, because it almost sounds like, well, it's experimental in that it might not work. It's fine, don't worry. You're going to want this line. Now what we're going to do is check if the GLEW is initialized by doing GLEW underscore OK not equal to GLEW initialize, so GLEW init. And if it doesn't successfully initialize in here, we're going to do std colon c out, and we're going to put failed to initialize GLEW less than std colon end line semicolon, and we're going to return -1. We're going to put GL view port, and for this we're going to put 0 0, so it's starting at 0 0, and instead of putting the width and the height, we're going to put screen width and screen height, so it's adjusts it if it's on a high density screen like a iMac Retina, for example. So now that we've got all of that set up, we've set up GLFW, so the window will have been created, GLEW is set up, and we've set up the viewport for OpenGL. We can create our game loop, so we're going to do while not GLFW window should close. This might sound a bit confusing, but basically what it's saying is while the window is opening, or while the window is open, or while the window is not closing, continue this loop. So this is the game loop, so where we're going to be processing events like input from the user, we're going to be clearing the screen and updating it and all that other good stuff. So first of all, we're going to do GLFW poll events. Now we're going to do GL clear color 0.2F. You can set whatever values you want here. You don't have to have a clear color. I'm just going to put a clear color there because otherwise this is going to be a blank screen. I mean a blank screen. With this you'll get a bit of color. So this ranges between 0 and 1, and this is the, what's it called, red, green, blue. And finally we're going to set the alpha value, so 1.0F, so it's fully visible. We're going to put GL clear, so this just clears our screen so we can draw the next frame. So GL underscore color underscore buffer underscore bit. Don't worry, all of this stuff will be going in more depth in future videos. Next we're gonna do GLFW swap buffers, and we're gonna put window, and the last thing that we need to do is outside of here, because the only time you'll hit this part of the code is when the window has been closed, and then we want to terminate GLFW, so we're going to do GLFW terminate like so, and we're going to do return 0, and we are now ready to run our code. So let's command run. It's successfully run it now. There you go. That is some beautiful OpenGL in GLFW with GLEW. So that is it. It doesn't look anything special, but in future videos we will be covering stuff like shaders, textures, and object loading and all of that good stuff. Like I said, if you're interested in setting up GLEW, OpenGL and GLFW on a Windows machine, feel free to check out that video. We're going to have videos to cover stuff like SDL instead of GLFW and SFML. So if you prefer those frameworks, GLFW is my personal favorite, but we're going to give you the option to use different frameworks. So that is it for setting up OpenGL and GLEW in GLFW on a Mac. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on our education platform, sonarlearning.co.uk. There'll be a link in the description. Also in the description, there'll be a link to our GitHub page, which has the source code from not only this video, but the source code from every other video in this series, so feel free to check that out. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. If you didn't like it, feel free to, well, not like the video, feel free to let us know, feel free to give us your feedback, and as usual, thank you for watching and I hope you have a great day.